Many people have dreams, but few turn them into reality. The difference between the two lies in one powerful truth: dreams require deadlines, otherwise they remain nothing more than a wish. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'd like to speak with you about something that separates the dreamers from the doers, the wishers from the achievers. You see, nearly everyone has dreams. But here's the truth: dreams require deadlines, otherwise they're just wishes. Think about it. A wish is light as air. It drifts, it wanders, it fills the imagination but leaves no mark upon the earth. But when a dream is given a deadline, it changes its very nature. It becomes a goal, and a goal has gravity. It pulls you forward. It demands your attention, your effort, your time. The great men and women of history did not merely wish. They set goals, they assigned dates, and they pursued them with unwavering determination. The Wright brothers didn't simply wish to fly. They worked, measured, tested, and gave themselves timelines until one day mankind lifted off the ground. Thomas Edison didn't wish for light. He gave himself the task of creating it and held himself accountable to results. So how do we transform our dreams into reality? The steps are simple, though not always easy. First, write it down. A dream not written is a dream forgotten. Second, set a clear deadline. A goal without a date is like a ship without a destination. Third, break the goal into steps. Each step is a rung on the ladder that leads you upward. Fourth, take action daily, no matter how small. Momentum is built through repetition, and repetition creates mastery. Remember, this success is not built in sudden leaps, but in steady, deliberate steps taken over time. And the time must be measured, not wasted. When you set a deadline, you invite urgency, and urgency is the spark that fuels persistence. A dream with no deadline is simply a wish. But a dream with a deadline is a promise you've made to yourself, and it is a promise you can keep. So tonight, I leave you with this call to action. Choose one dream, just one, and write it down. Set a deadline, place it where you can see it every day, and then take the first small step toward it before this day is over. For when you do, you'll find that your dream is no longer floating in the realm of wishes. It has become a destination. And you, my friend, are on your way to reaching it. A dream without action remains an illusion because it exists only in the realm of imagination, untouched by the hands of effort. The mind can create vivid pictures of what life could be, painting them in bright colors of success, freedom, and achievement, but unless those visions are supported by movement, they remain fragile whispers carried away by time. Too often people hold on to dreams as though thinking alone will bring them to life, but thought is only the seed. For a seed to grow, it must be planted, watered, and nurtured through consistent care, and so it is with any dream. The great tragedy is not in dreaming, but in waiting for dreams to fulfill themselves. Wishes do not climb mountains, they do not build bridges, they do not write books or launch businesses. Action does. The world belongs to those who dare to take even the smallest step toward their vision, those who understand that progress is made through sweat, discipline, and sacrifice. Without this, a dream becomes a comfortable illusion, a sweet distraction that pacifies the heart but never satisfies it. Think of the countless individuals who speak passionately of what they will do someday. Someday they will travel, someday they will create, someday they will transform their lives. Yet someday never arrives without action today. Time passes quietly, indifferent to human hesitation. The dreamer wakes years later realizing that what could have been has slipped away, and the illusion of possibility leaves behind the weight of regret. Action alone redeems the dreamer from this fate. Every great achievement in history began as a dream. The difference between those who succeeded and those who remained in wishful thinking was simple. One group acted. The Wright brothers did not stop at imagining flight. They built, tested, failed, and built again. Edison did not merely dream of light. He worked relentlessly until the dream became reality. Their dreams lived because they were not afraid of effort, struggle, or imperfection. They understood that action, even imperfect action, moves the dream closer to existence, while hesitation keeps it forever distant. Action breathes life into what the mind conceives. It transforms ideas into goals and goals into accomplishments. It is not enough to see yourself achieving. You must begin moving toward it with whatever resources you possess. Momentum builds as effort accumulates, and each step taken confirms that the dream is no longer a fantasy. The path may be uncertain, the obstacles many, but every effort etches the dream deeper into reality. Dreams left untouched by action fade into illusions, no matter how brilliant they once appeared. But when you act even in small ways, the dream begins to shape itself in the world around you. It ceases to be a mirage in your imagination and becomes a work in progress, a vision being sculpted by your own determination and courage. Deadlines transform vague desires into concrete goals because they provide structure to what would otherwise remain undefined. A desire is often a fleeting thought, an emotional impulse born of imagination or inspiration, but without a boundary of time, it drifts endlessly in the mind. A deadline, however, takes that desire and anchors it, giving it shape, urgency, and purpose. It is the moment when intention steps out of the abstract and becomes a commitment. The simple act of attaching a date to a dream signals the mind that it is no longer optional, no longer something to pursue when convenient, but something that demands attention and effort within a specific time frame. A person may wish to become healthier, wealthier, or more skilled, yet such desires remain vague without a clock attached to them. The decision to say, by this date I will achieve this outcome, changes everything. Suddenly the path must be considered, actions must be chosen, and procrastination loses its power. Deadlines create a framework for accountability, and within that framework progress can be measured. Without them, days slip into weeks, and weeks into years with nothing more than the comfort of unfulfilled intentions. The power of a deadline is not merely in the date itself, but in the clarity it demands. It forces the dreamer to define what success looks like. To say, I will save money someday, is a desire. To declare, I will save a specific amount by the end of this year, is a goal. That difference, small in words, is monumental in results. The mind is compelled to design strategies, to take steps, to organize resources in alignment with the approaching moment of truth. In this way, deadlines sharpen focus and transform energy into directed action. History offers countless examples of the transformative nature of deadlines. Great projects, inventions, and achievements did not materialize out of indefinite wishes. They were tied to dates, commitments, and promises that demanded delivery. A writer who commits to finishing a manuscript by the end of the month creates a tangible target. An athlete preparing for a competition set on a fixed day knows that the training cannot be delayed. These deadlines create intensity, and intensity accelerates growth. Deadlines also conquer the enemy of achievement, procrastination. Left unchecked, procrastination will turn any dream into dust, but a deadline removes the illusion that there is endless time available. It presses upon the mind that every day counts, and every delay pushes the goal further from reach. This urgency does not create stress when approached with discipline. Instead, it creates momentum. That momentum turns the vague into the specific, the distant into the near, the possible into the actual. A desire without a deadline remains formless, but once bound by time, it becomes a solid goal. The dreamer is compelled to step forward, to plan, to act, and to measure progress along the way. What was once an intangible hope now becomes a mission, guided by discipline and anchored in reality, all because a date was set. Clarity of purpose gives birth to direction because until one knows why they are moving, the path will always seem uncertain. A person without a clear purpose is like a ship without a compass, drifting with the currents of chance at the mercy of circumstance. But when the purpose is defined, when the heart knows with certainty what it seeks, the direction becomes unmistakable. Decisions become easier, distractions lose their grip, and energy is no longer wasted on pursuits that do not align with the central mission of life. Purpose acts as the guiding star, and clarity sharpens its light so it can lead through darkness and confusion. When a man or woman understands the reason behind their journey, every step gains meaning. Work is no longer simply effort, it is contribution toward a greater vision. Challenges are no longer obstacles to fear, they are milestones on the way to fulfillment. Clarity gives context to both struggle and success, reminding the individual that everything encountered along the way is part of the design that leads to the goal. Without clarity, even achievement can feel empty, for the destination remains undefined. With clarity, however, even the smallest progress becomes deeply satisfying because it affirms alignment with the chosen path. The human mind thrives when it has a single, definite aim. It resists chaos and flourishes under order. A clear purpose organizes thoughts, directs focus, and strengthens resolve. It filters choices, eliminating the trivial and highlighting the essential. Those who drift without direction are often burdened by indecision, endlessly shifting from one pursuit to another, never truly satisfied. But those who possess clarity of purpose carry a sense of calm authority within them, for they know why they rise each morning and where they intend to go. Consider the builders of great civilizations, the pioneers of science, the leaders of movements. Their clarity of purpose was the engine behind their accomplishments. They may not have known every detail of the journey, but they were unwavering in their central aim. That unwavering clarity created direction, and direction produced momentum. The same principle holds true in every life, regardless of scale. A person who decides their purpose with sincerity creates a map for their existence, and the roads they travel begin to align with that inner blueprint. Clarity does not eliminate difficulty, but it eliminates confusion. It brings peace to the restless heart by turning uncertainty into determination. A life without clear purpose is scattered, easily swayed by trends, opinions, and circumstances. A life with clarity channels its strength, like a river guided by its banks, moving forward with power and persistence. Purpose makes effort meaningful, and clarity transforms it into direction. Through this union, the individual not only moves but moves with intention, and it is this intention that turns ordinary days into extraordinary progress. The calendar is your greatest ally in achieving success because it transforms the abstract concept of time into a visible framework you can work within. Time is invisible, slipping quietly from one day to the next, but the calendar captures it, organizes it, and allows you to assign meaning to each hour, day, and month. Dreams and ambitions often falter not because of lack of ability, but because of lack of structure. A calendar provides that structure, reminding you that every goal must be anchored in time if it is to be achieved. It is more than a tool for marking dates. It is a silent partner that guides your discipline, reinforces your focus, and keeps you accountable to yourself. When a person looks at a blank calendar, they are holding a map of potential. Each square is an opportunity to shape the future, to schedule action, to measure progress. Success does not happen randomly, it happens when intentions are translated into daily choices. By writing tasks, goals, and commitments on the calendar, you turn vague desires into actionable steps. The act of setting a date forces you to decide when effort will be applied, and that decision is the first movement from thought into reality. The calendar teaches the discipline of consistency. It reminds you that achievement is not born of a single burst of effort, but of repeated action over time. When you block out hours for study, training, or creation, and you honor those appointments as you would an important meeting, you signal to yourself that your goals matter. Over days and weeks, these small, scheduled moments compound into results. Without a calendar, it is easy to delay, to assume there will always be more time, but the calendar exposes the truth: time is finite, and each passing day is either invested or wasted. Great achievers respect the calendar. They know that it is not enough to set lofty goals. Those goals must be broken down into measurable actions scheduled across weeks and months. A writer who commits to finishing a book must decide how many words to write each day. An entrepreneur planning to launch a business must map out deadlines for each stage of preparation. An athlete striving for excellence must schedule practice, rest, and recovery with precision. The calendar makes these intentions concrete, transforming ambition into a series of practical steps. Beyond structure, the calendar provides perspective. By looking back, you can see where your time was invested, and by looking forward, you can anticipate what must be done. It holds you accountable not just for today, but for the pattern of your life. Each page turned is a reminder that time is passing, urging you to make the most of it. The calendar is not a burden, but a gift, for it allows you to take control of what would otherwise slip away unnoticed. It is the quiet ally that, when respected, ensures your success is not left to chance but built deliberately day by day. Progress is measured not in intention but in execution, because the world does not reward what we plan to do, it rewards what we actually accomplish. Intentions are important. They are the sparks that ignite the fire of ambition, but sparks alone cannot warm a house. Action is what transforms those sparks into a steady flame. Too many people live in the realm of intention, speaking often about their dreams, imagining what they will become, convincing themselves that thought alone is progress. But until action follows, nothing in the external world changes. Execution is the bridge between imagination and reality, the proof that what you believe within can be brought forth into existence. An individual may intend to learn a skill, to write a book, or to build a business, but unless deliberate steps are taken, the intention remains frozen in thought. Execution gives substance to desire. The act of showing up, practicing, creating, and delivering is what separates the dreamer from the achiever. Even imperfect action carries more weight than the most noble intention because it moves the individual closer to the goal. Intention, on the other hand, without follow-through, leaves the person exactly where they began, still waiting for a better moment, a better plan, a better opportunity that may never arrive. Execution requires courage because it exposes intention to the test of reality. Many people cling to intentions because they are safe. No one can criticize what has not yet been attempted. But the moment you execute, you face feedback, challenges, and obstacles. That is precisely why execution is the true measure of progress. It demonstrates not just what you want, but what you are willing to do. Each step taken, no matter how small, creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Progress is not always about giant leaps. Often it is found in the steady rhythm of consistent execution. Consider the craftsman who becomes a master. His intention to excel matters little if his hands never shape the material day after day. It is the hours of repetition, the tangible work completed, that mark his growth. The same is true in every pursuit. The musician, the athlete, the entrepreneur, the scholar, all are measured not by what they intend, but by what they produce through disciplined effort. Execution is the undeniable evidence of progress, the tangible proof that one is advancing along the chosen path. Intentions live in the realm of possibility, but execution lives in the realm of reality. The world cannot see your thoughts, but it can see your work, your results, your growth, your contributions. These are the outcomes of what you execute, not what you hope for. Each day offers a choice, to remain in the comfort of intention or to step into the discipline of execution. Only one of these choices moves you forward, and it is through that forward motion that progress is defined. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, because without it, even the grandest vision remains unattainable. A dream can inspire, it can awaken ambition, it can stir the imagination with images of what life could be, but it is discipline that carries those images across the gap from thought to achievement. Dreams alone are weightless. Discipline gives them substance. It is the quiet force that turns fleeting motivation into sustained action, the steady rhythm that transforms scattered effort into consistent progress. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction or limitation, yet in truth it is the very thing that provides freedom. Without discipline, a person is ruled by impulse, swayed by distraction, and delayed by procrastination. With discipline, choices become deliberate, energy is focused, and progress is inevitable. It is not passion that keeps someone working when inspiration fades. It is discipline. Passion ignites the spark, but discipline keeps the fire burning long after the initial excitement has dimmed. Every great success story has discipline at its core. The artist who creates masterpiece after masterpiece is not carried by a constant wave of inspiration, but by disciplined practice. The athlete who reaches the highest level does so not because of raw talent alone, but because of hours of disciplined training when no one is watching. The entrepreneur who builds a thriving enterprise achieves it not through a single bold move, but through the discipline of making consistent decisions and taking persistent action over time. Discipline is the common thread running through every field of accomplishment. Discipline also provides stability in the face of obstacles. Dreams often meet resistance, whether from external challenges or internal doubts. In those moments, emotion can falter, motivation can weaken, but discipline remains steady. It is the inner commitment to act regardless of mood or circumstance. This reliability is what ensures that progress continues, even when the journey feels long or the results appear distant. Discipline transforms resilience into habit, and habit into achievement. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. Small acts performed consistently build into great outcomes. Writing a single page each day eventually becomes a book. Saving a small amount regularly grows into financial independence. Practicing for a few minutes daily can evolve into mastery over time. Discipline may not promise immediate gratification, but it guarantees long-term fulfillment. It teaches patience, endurance, and trust in the process, virtues that every dream requires before it can become reality. Dreams inspire the direction, but discipline sustains the journey. It is the invisible bridge that allows a person to cross from the world of imagination into the world of results. Without it, one stands on the shore of possibility, gazing at what could be but never reaching it. With it, step by step, day by day, the dream moves closer until it is no longer a vision in the mind but a reality underfoot. Writing down your goal fixes it in your subconscious mind, because the act of putting words on paper transforms a passing thought into a tangible commitment. A goal that lives only in the imagination is fragile, easily forgotten, or replaced by new distractions. But when you write it down, you take it from the abstract and bring it into the physical world, where it can no longer drift aimlessly. The subconscious mind recognizes written words as instruction, and once a clear instruction is given, it begins to align your thoughts, actions, and even perceptions to support that direction. The human mind is powerful, yet it is often scattered without clarity. Writing gives clarity. A vague idea becomes a defined objective. A scattered intention becomes a focused target. When you read your own words on paper, you reinforce the seriousness of your commitment. It is no longer a casual desire, it is a decision. The subconscious does not distinguish between reality and imagination, it acts upon repetition and belief. Each time you write and review your goal, you program your inner world to pursue it as though it is already attainable, and gradually your behavior adjusts to match that belief. This is why successful individuals across history have used the practice of writing their goals. It is not simply about making lists or jotting down tasks. It is about giving form to desire and embedding it into the deepest layers of thought. The written goal becomes a constant reminder that directs attention toward opportunities and solutions that might otherwise be overlooked. When the subconscious is engaged, it works silently in the background, filtering information, noticing patterns, and nudging you toward choices that align with your stated objective. Writing also creates accountability. Thoughts can be dismissed, but written words stare back at you with undeniable presence. They remind you of the promise you made to yourself, and that reminder fuels persistence. A goal written down is a goal that demands progress, and progress begins to take shape when the mind is continually exposed to its target. The subconscious thrives on repetition, and every review of the written goal strengthens its hold. Over time, it becomes second nature to act in ways that support it. The practice of writing down goals is not about magic or superstition. It is about aligning the conscious and subconscious mind. The conscious sets the intention, but the subconscious provides the drive, the focus, and the consistency needed to follow through. Writing bridges these two aspects of the mind. It takes what you want and engraves it into the unseen part of you that governs habits, decisions, and perseverance. The longer the goal remains before you in written form, the deeper it becomes etched within, and the stronger the pull to bring it to life. In this way, writing is not just an action, it is the key that unlocks the subconscious power to turn intention into reality. A deadline creates urgency and commitment because it places a boundary around time, turning a distant desire into an immediate priority. When a person knows that a specific task must be completed by a certain date, the mind shifts from a casual attitude to a focused determination. Urgency arises not from pressure alone, but from the awareness that time is finite, that the opportunity to act is narrowing, and that hesitation has a cost. Without a deadline, action can always be postponed until tomorrow, and tomorrow often becomes never. But with a clear endpoint, procrastination loses its comfort, and the will to begin takes root. The power of a deadline lies in its ability to sharpen focus. When time is limited, distractions suddenly seem less important. The mind filters out the unnecessary and directs energy toward what truly matters. A writer with months to finish a manuscript may drift, but a writer with 1 week left channels every ounce of effort into the task. The same principle applies to every goal. The moment a deadline is introduced, priorities are rearranged, and energy is conserved for what carries the greatest importance. Urgency transforms what was once optional into something that must be done. Alongside urgency comes commitment. A deadline is not just a reminder of time, it is a promise to oneself. It represents a decision that cannot be ignored, a line drawn in the calendar that says, "By this point, I will have completed what I started." Commitment grows because deadlines demand accountability. They remove the luxury of indefinite planning and force an individual to stake their effort against time itself. When a goal is tied to a date, it no longer floats as a wish. It stands as a responsibility. Deadlines also cultivate discipline. Knowing that the clock is ticking encourages daily effort rather than last-minute panic. Progress is made incrementally, step by step as the deadline approaches. This steady rhythm develops habits that extend far beyond a single goal. The individual learns to respect time, to manage it with intention, and to treat each day as a valuable resource. In this way, deadlines do not restrict freedom, but expand it by instilling a sense of control over one's life. History offers countless examples of the creative and productive power of deadlines. Great inventions, works of art, and discoveries were not born in endless waiting, but under the pressure of time-bound challenges. Deadlines ignite ingenuity, pushing people to find solutions faster, to work smarter, and to rise above complacency. The urgency they create often unlocks levels of focus and creativity that remain dormant when time feels unlimited. A deadline is not simply a marker on a calendar. It is a catalyst. It compels action, it fosters accountability, and it sustains commitment. It reminds us that time will not wait, and if our goals are to be realized, they must be pursued with intention before the moment slips away. Success belongs to those who treat time as sacred, because time is the one resource that can never be replenished once spent. Money can be earned again, opportunities can reappear, possessions can be replaced, but a single hour wasted is gone forever. Those who understand this truth approach their days with reverence, guarding their minutes as if each one holds the key to their future. To treat time as sacred is to recognize that every passing moment is a building block of destiny, shaping the life that emerges through daily choices and consistent effort. When time is valued, priorities become clear. A person who sees each hour as sacred does not squander it on distractions that bear no fruit. They focus on what contributes to growth, achievement, and fulfillment. This sense of respect for time elevates ordinary days into purposeful experiences. While many allow their hours to slip away in idleness or aimless activity, those who honor time seize it, directing it toward meaningful action. This consistent respect for the clock separates mediocrity from excellence, for success is rarely the result of a single event but rather the cumulative effect of time well spent. The sacredness of time also cultivates discipline. When every minute matters, excuses lose their appeal. Procrastination cannot survive in the presence of someone who sees time as precious. Such individuals rise early, plan deliberately, and act with intention because error in message stream. Every great achievement in history began with a date attached to a dream, because it is not enough to simply imagine greatness. It must be given a timeline to breathe life into it. A dream is the seed, but the date is the soil where it is planted. Without setting a moment in time, even the grandest vision can remain suspended in thought, never taking form in the real world. The date becomes the anchor that transforms imagination into action, reminding the dreamer that the future is not infinite and that progress must begin now. Consider the innovators, the explorers, and the leaders who changed the course of humanity. Their dreams did not linger endlessly in possibility. They fixed them to a point in time, and in doing so, created the urgency to act. When the Wright brothers resolved that flight would no longer be a fantasy but a reality within their lifetime, they gave their dream a date. When Thomas Edison pushed himself to perfect the electric light, his deadlines kept him experimenting until he succeeded. When nations sought to reach the moon, they did not speak vaguely of someday. They set a decade as their boundary, and the race toward the stars accelerated. These were not just ideas floating in minds, they were dreams with dates, and that made all the difference. Attaching a date to a dream provides clarity and direction. It changes a distant vision into a concrete goal, forcing the dreamer to ask, what steps must be taken today, tomorrow, and next week to arrive there? Without a date, it is easy to delay, to assume there will always be more time, but a date removes the illusion of endless tomorrows. It channels energy into the present, urging steady progress toward the destination. The calendar then becomes not a passive record of days, but a guide, reminding that each moment carries weight. Deadlines and dates do not restrict creativity or ambition, they sharpen them. Pressure breeds focus, and focus accelerates growth. When a goal is tied to time, effort becomes organized, distractions lose their pull, and the dream begins to shape itself through consistent action. The individual feels a sense of accountability, not only to the dream but to the commitment made to time itself. That accountability creates momentum, and momentum creates results. The story of every achievement echoes the same principle: dreams remain mere wishes until they are bound to time. Whether it is a work of art, a scientific discovery, or a personal milestone, the moment a date is attached, it takes on urgency, purpose, and direction. It ceases to be a distant hope and becomes a challenge to rise to. That challenge transforms ordinary men and women into extraordinary figures of accomplishment, proving that greatness is not born in vague intentions but in the disciplined pursuit of a dream given a deadline. Ladies and gentlemen, every dream, every ambition, and every vision you hold within you carries the potential to transform your life and perhaps even the world. But only if it is acted upon with discipline, guided by clarity, and anchored in time. A dream without action is nothing more than an illusion. Deadlines turn desires into concrete goals. Clarity of purpose gives you the direction to move forward. The calendar becomes your greatest ally, reminding you that every day matters. True progress is measured not by what you intend, but by what you execute. Discipline is the bridge that carries you across from imagination to reality. Writing down your goal engraves it into your subconscious, ensuring it never fades. Deadlines create urgency and commitment, making your vision impossible to ignore. Success belongs only to those who treat time as sacred, and history shows us that every great achievement began with a date attached to a dream. The message is simple but powerful: set your vision, mark the time, act with discipline, and walk with purpose, for the future bends in favor of those who take their dreams seriously enough to make them real.